What do a progressive academic and the nephew of one of America's best-known political figures have in common? Or they both want to be the next president of the United States. They've joined a growing field of people hoping to unseat not just the current Joe Biden, but conventional wisdom as well, and make it to the White House as an independent candidate. Nick Harper looks at what impact these candidates and their supporters could have on elections in November.
To survive in the intensely competitive world of US politics requires a few things, like brand recognition. Joe Biden and Donald Trump have plenty of that, also representing an established party. So the Democrats for Biden, the Republicans for Trump. But there's one more thing. Money.
Thank you very much.
A new twist this morning for the country's most famous political dynasty.
Which is how Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the millionaire nephew of late former President John F. Kennedy, is able to mount a challenge, albeit a costly one, even without the backing of a party.
I'm here to declare myself an independent candidate.
I declare my independence.
I declare my independence.
I declare my independence.
The idea of independence from big government and rule-setting party agendas is strongly appealing for some voters. Kennedy, or RFK, has risen to prominence as a COVID-19 anti-vaccine activist.
You know, he's best known, I think, other than for being a Kennedy, is known as a vaccine skeptic. There may be people that he brings out of the woodwork who are not naturally, in either party camp. So there will be some people who are actively voting for the third-party candidates. But my guess is that the bulk of whatever the third-party vote ends up being is basically a protest vote.
Vice President, you go first.
Polls show a growing number of so-called double haters, Americans who are disillusioned by both Biden and Trump. Some surveys suggest RFK could capture 20% of the electorate.
It takes tremendous discipline, takes tremendous courage to think for yourself, to examine yourself.
Progressive academic and activist Cornel West is also running, and like Kennedy, could pull votes away from Biden, helping Trump, if he becomes the Republican Party nominee, to get elected.
Please, come join us.
On foreign policy, Kennedy warns that China wants to bury the US economically, and argues the US bears responsibility for Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which he calls a US proxy war, while West opposes US military assistance for Ukraine and says he'd sit down with China to try and end the conflict. And there's another threat for the establishment candidates.
We also have a group out there called No Labels that is looking to put together what's called a unity ticket. That is a Republican running with a Democrat together. And they have a lot of money behind them to sponsor something like that. We don't know who they might pick.
One name mentioned is centrist Democrat Joe Manchin, who sparked speculation when he announced he won't seek Senate re-election next year. But no independent or third-party candidate has ever won a modern US presidential election. Part of the problem is that candidates need to get on the ballot in every state, and that requires thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of signatures from supporters. And if they manage that, they then need to convince tens of millions of people to vote for them. And crucially, what people tell pollsters and how they actually vote on election day can often differ.
At the end of the day, you'd expect most people to come home to one party or the other, because they're going to feel like, hey, I want to participate in the election, or I want to participate in a way in which I'm voting for someone who can actually win. And I don't think you can look at any of the third-party candidates and say they have a path to victory.
Victory, no. But in a country of 330 million, just a few thousand disaffected independent voters in battleground states could be enough to swing the election one way or the other. Nick Harper, CNA, Washington.
Thank you.